Hi everyone, it's Don from Crux Terminatus, and I've got the Space Marine Executioner in the Souls of Brathnor Chapter here. This is one of the last boxes of my army, so I'll need to buy some more. But for now, this is just the Executioner. It's been sat on the shelf for a long, long time. I'm just going to really quickly put it together. Excuse my ridiculous belly. And the gaps on here are ridiculous as well. So please make sure you fill them up if you want a decent end product. I'm just doing the priming of white for the doors and the turret and this little cutout bit at the front of the tank itself. Here comes the turret. I'm just using Vallejo airbrush primer in white, and that's just the finished article. It actually looks really nice in white. That's the Scottish Summer showing you there that I've masked off all the parts that I want to keep white, and I'm going to use the Wild Rider Red, which is the standard colour for the Souls of Brathnor. Just a couple of thin coats over that white. It really makes it pop out. It actually looks brighter in real life, more like a sort of almost like a life jacket type of red rather than the red on the screen. But we are where we are with that, and this is very satisfying. When you peel that off, you get perfect white Souls of Brathnor stripes. And this bit was a real pain to mask. Loads of different parts going on there, but it's worth doing. And the rest of the grey plastic is going to get covered up by the black primer. It's just, as I say, it's a Vallejo, just standard primer stuff there. Nothing too serious, although your hard work it might be at risk if your masking isn't on form there. So it's a real moment. This is the Incubi Darkness, which is the main colour of the Souls of Brathnor. So I'm just going to quickly give the tank 2 coats, just really quickly, just to make sure I've got all the angles covered there. That looks about right. And when we're finished with this, what I'm going to go ahead and do is put on some highlights. So I've just mixed a little bit of white into the Incubi Darkness and just really trying to hit the middle of all the panels there. Again, in real life, it's slightly more contrasty than it's coming on the camera here. But I think when you see it speeded up, you get the message. Okay, so that's starting to look pretty decent. Quite happy with it so far. There we go. Perfect. Now you get the rewards of your masking efforts, and you can enjoy that. I'm using a flat brush to do the edge highlights here. I have to do them twice because the first time I do them, it's not as obvious as I want them to be. So I go around and do it twice. Again, the camera's really struggling to pick that up, but you'll see it later on. The repulsor plates here, I did them in a batch, but I tried to keep them left, right, and the front part as well. It's just I'm easily confused. I'm getting old. This is me putting gloss varnish on. It's just standard gloss varnish. And whilst I was waiting for that to dry, I did the barrel. I also did how to magnetize the barrel so you can swap out the weapons. If you would like to see that video, it's going to be about a minute and a half. Just leave a comment down below, and if I get enough comments, I'll be bothered to do that if you like. This is the Pimp My Souls part of it, where I put the decals for the souls on. It's the standard Command Squad decal there. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually using my airbrush to dry the gloss varnish that I'm putting on top. So you'll see that in the skull, I just hold my airbrush over it and it dries in seconds. You don't have to go and get a hairdryer, you can just use the air from your airbrush. This is a slightly out of focus, doing the edge highlighting on the orange parts as well. Let's get our shoes on here. So I'm going to quickly put the parts on here, and I'm using sponge chipping with Wild Rider Red and a little bit of white just to do all that. And then I'm going to do the chips, and then I'm going to make them sort of look three-dimensional, hopefully with German camo black brown. If you've seen any of my other videos for the souls, you'll know this process already. I go over it in great detail in other videos, but it's quite nice to do. And as I've mentioned before, I actually find this very therapeutic. When I've done all my scratches, I'm going to get some Wild Rider Red, and I'm actually going to break up the perfect white lines. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it just looks too fake if there's a perfect white line. So I'm going to pretend that the white line was painted over the orange and it's been chipped off. That's what I'm going for there. I'm just going to do the chipping on the Incubi Darkness now. And again, that's just Incubi Darkness with a slightly more amount of white. It's not massively more, but it is about an extra drop or two. And I'm just going around sponge chipping that. And I'm going to do all my scratches and dings just like I do with any of my other models. What am I doing here? Oh yeah, this is me putting on some of the bigger scratches here on the side. I like to do sort of almost like tears in the paint as well. And again, I'm coming in with German camo, black brown, just to give the 3D effect of the scratches. And I think it actually really sells the effect. Some of the bigger scratches, it's hard to believe they're completely flat and it's just three-dimensional paint processes that make it look like it's actually got a hole in it. I also like to scratch up the white decals because the white is so obvious. It just makes it look more believable. If your rest of your tank's all dinged up and scratched and you've got these perfect white decals, it's quite obviously not selling the illusion there. So I'm just going to scratch up the orange at the front because I forgot to do that a little bit earlier. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add in a little bit of orange, just, because the white gives you that gift. It makes it look, if you want to do some rust, it makes it look really, really good if you can get it onto the white, because the orange, it becomes incredibly obvious. Time to start the assembly then. So I've got all my doors ready to go. I'll paint the glass or the optics here. So I'm just using a couple of different greens and a little bit of gloss varnish over the top of that to try and sell that illusion. And I'm just going to dry brush the repulsor plates. They were originally sort of bolt gun metal, and this is just silver over the top. The driver, the crewman, if you like, no, he's not the driver, he's definitely the crewman. He's getting his soul stripe there, and I'm just going to place some sort of engine exhaust glow inside of the engines, and that's it finished. Really, really like it. I know some people aren't a big fan of that orange. Oh, it's not very camouflage. Yeah, of course it's not. They're Space Marines. They're meant to go in there and kick backside, not sneak about in the shadows. So it was a fairly decent model to build. I did find there were some gaps, especially at the front. I've seen that for a lot of people that have built them. This is the second type of this chassis that I've built, and I learned that you really do need to overfill the gaps. I just used Humbrol model filler, and then I sort of sanded them down so you can't see there's any gaps because I filled them. But if you hadn't done that, it would have looked a bit rubbish. I didn't put the two anti-personnel box things on the front that look like traffic lights. Just not a fan. Not a fan at all. Put some rust on the exhaust pipes, although why it's got jet engines and an internal combustion engine, no idea. Didn't ask. But that's what we've got to deal with. But I like the weathering isn't ridiculous. It's in style and keeping with the rest of the army. But as I say, I've got that video for how to magnetize the weapons. It's a really, really quick conversion. If you want to do it, let me know down below and I'll make that video for you. Cheers everyone. Bye bye.